The Hardy brothers, according to PW Insider, Matt and Jeff were spotted meeting with WWE officials earlier yesterday in Cleveland ahead of the SummerSlam event. While the specifics of their discussion haven't been revealed, it's clear that WWE has some plans for the legendary tag team. So the Hardys are not under contract with TNA. I do think they have booked out dates for the rest of the year, which is why TNA is really focused on the Carolinas, because they have TV tapings in Spartanburg, South Carolina, Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I think they're doing Turning Point at WrestleCade too. So they have a couple of dates in the Carolinas, and which is smart if you got the Hardys, because they're big draws in the Carolinas. Let's see. Io says they're filming content in a documentary, SRS reported. I have not seen that report, but I don't doubt you, Io. You are a truth sayer, so I believe that is the case. That makes sense. I don't see them returning to WWE on a full-time capacity. I see them coming in for Hall of Fame. I could see them doing an A&E documentary on the Hardys, because I don't know that they've done one specifically on the Hardys. I know they did one on the Hardys, Edge and Christian, and the Dudley Boys, that feud from the early 2000s. But I don't think they've actually done one just on the Hardy Boys. I could see that. I could see, like I said, I could see Hall of Fame. I could see them coming in and doing a match here or there, like a pop. But I don't think that the Hardys are WWE bound at this point. A lot of people took that story and started running with it, and AEW Tribalists are like making fun of WWE for bringing them in, despite the fact they were just in AEW. Like, they're trying to forget the fact that they were just in AEW. And now anybody that picks them up is like, aha, look at you, you're dumb, you're signing this. Like, you realize that Tony Khan just paid those guys a lot of money, right? The contracts just ended. But so tribalists are so funny. Bunch of dummies. No matter which company you're tribal for. And that's why I like the Brace for Impact crew here. Is I am very much like, I don't need to put down another company to complement TNA. Like, that's tribalism at its best, right? Is when you're like, when like that guy Defiant on Twitter, when he posted the picture of the Slammiversary crowd, and then side by side with the crowd that AEW is running in a studio, as some type of own that TNA is better than AEW. It's like you're setting yourself up. You're setting yourself up for failure when you do that. It's like that's a dumb thing to do. So nobody do that. Just, when TNA does something good, just say it. You don't have to compare them to anybody else. Yeah, I don't think they're going back for a final run. I don't. I could be wrong. I'm wrong a lot. I just don't see it. I happen to think that TNA is going to have dates on these guys the rest of the year, and probably going forward. Not forever, not for a long time. I don't think the Hardys are going to sign a contract, because I think they still have that hope that they can get one final run in WWE. The thing is, I think they can work WWE dates while still keeping their TNA dates. So I think they could have a match here or there. I just don't see WWE wanting to bring them in for a run, because the last couple times they've done that, it just has not gone well. It really hasn't. So I don't think anything like that. Oh, you know what? Here, this is a good point. So I don't think Matt and Jeff are interested in an NXT run, but they'll do a Legends deal. Yeah, I could see them like doing bookings for TNA while on a Legends deal. That makes sense. Like, I could see them like getting merch and toys and being part of video games for WWE as WWE Legends, but I don't, and then being brought in for special shows here and there, but I don't think they're doing a run. I don't. I think they're sticking around with TNA. That is not, I'm not like hoping that, I'm not like that. That's just my prediction, just based off of the landscape that's going on in not only WWE, but in the world of wrestling, and what the Hardy Boys are capable of doing right now. I don't see a positive in them having a big run in WWE right now. In fact, I would see it as probably a negative for WWE. I think they're perfect right where they're at. And in fact, I think if WWE turns down signing them to like a main roster deal and only signing them to a Legends deal, I could see them eventually signing contracts with TNA because TNA loves to have them. But again, it's difficult to book the Hardys right now, especially with all of their plans overseas. We still don't have a date for Bound for Glory, which we're expecting to get here soon. We've been expecting it for a month and it just hasn't happened. But all indications are that it's going to be an overseas thing. And if it is overseas, you can't factor the Hardys in. You just can't. But what you could do is your tapings, Spartanburg, Fayetteville, Winston-Salem, like those, like you can do that. Like if they want to go to back to Charlotte, they could, and the Hardy Boys could be factored in and be a big part of that. But you have to navigate around their issues. Unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. Additionally, TNA announced a new television deal for India with Eurosport India. That is part of the WBD family. So, hey, at least one company this month was able to sign a deal with WBD. It just turns out it was TNA for India. It covers India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Maldives, Nepal, and Pakistan, as well as Sri Lanka. The deal will not only include current programming, but also feature shows from the past. So yeah, more content coming to India on Eurosport. So there you go. All right, now let's go to a TNA Slammiversary. We got some more business news. The latest update shows has a show got 4,000 television buys. So we're at 4,000 television buys. Significant increase from the previous Rebellion event, which had around 1,100 television buys. We're counting based on like a couple weeks out. So it's a 260.9% increase from Rebellion. And I think some of this can be contributed to the WWE crossover. So, and what I mean by that, I don't like, and I said this last week, and there's no real way to like quantify this. So this is just my opinion. I don't think it had anything to do with No Quarter Catch Crew coming over. But I think that WWE fans got a taste of Joe Hendry and the Rascals and Jordan Grace, and that has carried over to TNA and TNA Plus and the pay-per-view. So I think it's been a net positive so far. It could wind up being a negative by the end of it, and we'll talk about that next. But so with 4,000 television buys, that would Dave Meltzer, this is coming from the Wrestling Observer newsletter, is predicting that it will end up at about 13,000. Maybe more in the coming weeks based off of late buys. But we're looking at 13,000, which is a significant increase over Rebellion, which is pretty damn good for TNA's level. What I always say TNA's level, because people are going to be like, oh yeah, well, because Forbidden Door right now is at 100, like they're predicting anywhere from 110 to 120,000 buys. But AEW has a significantly larger budget and a larger reach than TNA does. It's just a fact. And they have bigger stars, and they're spending a lot more money on their stuff. So yeah, it makes total sense that they would be at around over 100,000 while TNA is at 13,000. If you take a look at it, let's just say that TNA is averaging 80,000 television viewers on Access, right? And that is roughly a little over 10% of what AEW gets on TNT. I'm just talking live viewership. What's 10% of 120,000, right? Like 12,000. So there you go. So they're right in line with what their level is. So if they were to get on a bigger network, could they do more? I don't know. But I think they're doing pretty decent for their level. Now, Rebellion was an abomination, but Rebellion never does good. I cannot remember the lot, like other than when Kenny Omega and Rich Swann. That's the only Rebellion that ever did any good, because it's not a traditional TNA pay-per-view. Slammiversary and Bound for Glory are typically, they're too big, and I think that Slammiversary is usually the biggest one of the year, despite the fact that TNA likes to promote Bound for Glory as being their WrestleMania. In my opinion, it's Slammiversary, because Slammiversary typically outperforms Bound for Glory. They really do need to make Slammiversary their landmark event every year. And I think that is the case this year. We'll see. Now, if they end up doing a bigger arena for Wembley, not Wembley. If they end up doing a bigger arena for Bound for Glory this year, and I was thinking of Wembley Arena, which is like 8,000-9,000 or something like that, which I don't think they would be able to fill. Don't get me betting on that, by the way. Don't get me betting on that. I don't want to go there anymore. But maybe that could be the bigger one. But I have been saying since 2018 that Slammiversary is the bigger show versus Bound for Glory.